Hey guys, in this video, I want to share with you the best dividend ETFs for 2026. And look, it's no secret that 2025 was an objectively terrible year for many dividend funds, with popular ETFs like JEPI and SCHD losing over 10% of their value during the April crash. And these funds failed to recover along with the broader market through the rest of the year. But there were a few relatively overlooked dividend ETFs that drove very strong performance throughout the year, and those are the investments that I'll be covering in full detail in this video. Every ETF on this list has had a double-digit total return over the last year, and for each one, I'll be sharing how long they've been trading, what they invest in, what their performance looks like, and how they might fit in your portfolio. By the way, if you're new here, my name is Brian. I'm a former investment banker with a Master of Science in Finance, and my goal is to help you grow your net worth and invest with confidence. And if you like videos like this where I break down the top investments of a specific type, like value ETFs, or in this case, dividend ETFs, consider subscribing to the channel. We are so close to my goal of hitting 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. The first ETF on this list is the Vanguard Dividend Appreciation ETF, ticker symbol VIG. This ETF started all the way back in April 2006, and it currently trades at $222 per share and has total assets under management of $99 billion. The expense ratio on VIG is just 0.05%, making it the cheapest of all of the funds that we're going to talk about today. This means that for every $10,000 invested in VIG, you can expect to pay about $5 per year in management fees. In exchange for that fee, you're getting exposure to an ETF that tracks the S&P US Dividend Growers Index. And there are a few criteria that make this index stand apart. The first one is common among all of the ETFs we're going to talk about, which is that real estate investment trusts are excluded from this ETF. The other two are what make this index and in turn VIG stand apart. The first one is related to liquidity. The S&P US Dividend Growers Index focuses on companies that are trading over $1 million in average volume. The other criteria is focused on dividend growth, and specifically, this index is looking for companies that have consistently grown their dividends over a period of 10 years. And this is where VIG really stands apart. Compared to all of the other ETFs on this list, VIG is focused on the longest period of dividend growth, along with that focus on liquidity. This results in a portfolio of large familiar stocks like Broadcom, Microsoft, Apple, JP Morgan, and Visa, just to name a few. This gives VIG some fairly broad industry exposure across financials, healthcare, industrials, and the technology sectors. And this wouldn't be a dividend ETF video if we didn't talk about the distributions coming from VIG. This ETF is paying about 86 cents per quarter, which may not sound like a lot compared to the share price of $222, but over the last 30 days, this has resulted in a yield of 1.57%, and over the last 12 months, VIG's yield has been around 1.6%. This makes VIG the lowest yielding ETF on this list, but that by no means has any indication on its performance. Over the last year, VIG has had a total return of close to 11%, and since its inception all the way back in 2006, the annual return has been just over 10% per year. To put that into perspective, a $10,000 investment in VIG 1 year ago today would be worth $11,079. That same investment at the inception of this fund today would be worth $65,829. Now, when it comes to fitting VIG into a portfolio, it's important to remember that this ETF is a large cap portfolio with a mix of both value stocks and growth stocks. This means that it would pair very well with either a small cap ETF like VTWO or an international ETF, which is the focus of the next one on this list. Next up is the Vanguard International Dividend Appreciation ETF, ticker symbol VIGI. And while this is the international version of the fund that we just talked about, it was founded 10 years later in February 2016. VIGI currently trades at $91 per share and has about $8.8 billion under management, much smaller than VIG. The expense ratio is also a bit higher at 0.1%. That means that for every $10,000 invested in VIGI, you can expect to pay about $10 per year in management fees. In exchange for those fees, you're getting a portfolio that tracks the S&P Global ex-US Dividend Growers Index. This is essentially the international version of the index that VIG tracks, and there are a few distinctions. While VIGI also excludes real estate investment trusts, or REITs for short, it focuses on companies that have daily liquidity of $500,000 instead of the $1 million threshold for VIG. But the more relevant difference is how this index handles dividend-growing companies. Instead of focusing on companies that have grown their dividends over 10 years, VIGI tightens that up to only look at companies that have grown their dividends over the last 7 years. While these criteria may not seem as strong as the ones in the US index, this is likely just to avoid filtering out too many companies, as international companies tend to have a little bit lower liquidity and may not have been paying dividends for as long, even though they are still high-quality companies. This methodology has resulted in a well-diversified portfolio with top holdings including financials like Royal Bank of Canada and Mitsubishi, as well as large-scale conglomerates like Nestle, SAP, and Sony. This also means that VIGI has a fairly interesting geographic exposure, with top markets being Japan, Canada, and Switzerland of all places. Now let's talk about the yield of VIGI, which is going to be a little bit better than VIG. This ETF has distributions of about 36 cents per quarter, and while there's not a 30-day yield currently published, I did the math, and over the last 12 months, this fund is yielding about 1.85%. In terms of performance, VIGI has done quite well over the last year, with a total return of 10.78% compared to VIG of 10.79%. Over the last 5 years, however, VIG has struggled a little bit with a total return of 36.25% compared with VIG of 76.6%. Though I wouldn't worry too much about the lower 5-year performance number, because up until this year, international stocks in general have lagged US markets. And to put this fund's performance into perspective, a $10,000 investment in VIGI 1 year ago today would be worth $11,078. That same investment at the fund's inception in 2016 would today be worth $22,885. When fitting VIGI into a portfolio, given that it is an ETF that focuses on large cap international companies that are growing their dividends, I think it would pair well with a small cap ETF like VTWO, or a US-based ETF like the next one on this list. The third ETF on this list is the iShares Core Dividend Growth ETF, ticker symbol DGRO. This fund has a little bit more history than the one we just talked about, with an inception date of June 2014. And it currently trades at $69 per share and has about $36 billion under management. The expense ratio on DGRO is just 0.08%. This means that for every $10,000 you invest in this fund, you can expect to pay about $8 per year in management fees. In exchange for that $8 per year, you're getting exposure to an ETF that tracks the Morningstar US Dividend Growth Index TR, which stands for total return. And this index is a completely different methodology from the other two funds that we just talked about. Just like VIG and VIGI, this fund also excludes real estate investment trusts, but that's where the similarities stop. In order to be included in DGRO's portfolio, companies must have 5 consecutive years of dividend growth, and they must have a positive consensus earnings forecast and a payout ratio of less than 75%. And I like this methodology for 2 reasons. The first is that it looks at not just historical dividend growth, but also projected future dividend growth. The other reason being the criteria focused on companies with payout ratios of less than 75%. And in case you're not familiar, I'll explain it to you very simply. The payout ratio is calculated by looking at a company's dividend payments compared to their profits. In this case, if a company makes $100 million of profit, then they need to pay $75 million or less in dividends. Now you might be thinking, why is this a good thing? Don't we want companies that pay lots of dividends? I want all of the $100 million. But if a company is paying out all of their profits to their shareholders in the form of dividends, then they're not going to have any money left over to reinvest in their business to continue growing into the future. So by having this payout ratio in place, DGRO is avoiding companies that are at the end of their life cycle and just paying out all of their profits to shareholders, striking a very good balance between companies that pay money back to their shareholders and still have money left over to keep growing. This results in a portfolio of some very familiar names with companies like Apple, Johnson & Johnson, JP Morgan, Exxon, and Microsoft, just to name a few. This also results in some very good diversification across sectors, with the top industry being financials, followed by technology, healthcare, and also some good exposure to consumer staples and industrials. DGRO also pays out the highest dividends of all of the ETFs we've talked about so far. Over the last quarter, they've paid about 37 cents per share, and over the last 30 days, this has resulted in a 2.2% yield, and over the last 12 months, the yield has been more like 2.03%. And not only does DGRO have a solid dividend yield, it's also one of the best performing ETFs on this list, with 1-year performance of 11.01% and 11.87% per year total returns since its inception in 2014. To put that into perspective, a $10,000 investment in DGRO 1 year ago today would be worth $11,101. And that same investment at its inception in 2014, today that would be worth $35,556. And if you're thinking about fitting this into your portfolio, it would probably fit best with something like a small cap ETF to complement the large cap companies in this fund, or an international ETF to complement the US holdings in DGRO. But there is one last dividend ETF that I want to share with you, and this is a fund that not only is a very strong performer from a total return perspective, but it also has the highest dividend yield on this list. The fourth fund on this list is the Vanguard High Dividend Yield ETF, ticker symbol VYM. This fund has a track record of almost 2 decades, making it the second longest on this list, with an inception date of November 2006. VYM currently trades at $145 per share and has about $66 billion under management. The expense ratio on this fund is also the second lowest at 0.06%. Meaning that for every $10,000 invested, you can expect to pay about $6 per year in management fees. In exchange for those fees, you're getting a portfolio that tracks the FTSE High Dividend Yield Index, and it is arguably the most interesting index on this list. And as you probably guessed, this index also excludes real estate investment trusts. Although I will point out that there is a small typo on page 7 of this methodology document. I know it's nitpicky, but that's the level of detail we go into on this channel. But in order to be included in this index, companies must have been paying dividends for the last 12 months, and they need to also be forecasted to be paying dividends for the next 12 months. And what I appreciate most about this index is that they do both a quarterly review and an annual review to cut companies that have stopped paying their dividends. This means that at any given point in time, you know that this ETF is holding companies that have actively been paying dividends and are expected to continue paying dividends in the near future. This results in a fairly diversified set of recognizable high-quality companies like Broadcom, JP Morgan, Johnson & Johnson, Walmart, and Home Depot, just to name a few. And in terms of industry exposure, VYM has some of the broadest diversification on this list, with solid exposure to consumer discretionary, consumer staples, energy, financials, healthcare, industrials, and technology. And when it comes to dividends, this is where VYM really shines on this list. Currently, it's paying about 84 cents per quarter, which has resulted in a 30-day SEC yield of 2.39% and a 12-month yield of 3.89%. And alongside that relatively high yield, you're also getting very strong total returns, with the 1-year return being 10.87% and a 9.04% annual return since the fund's inception in 2006. And while those returns may not look as high as something like DGRO, which we just looked at, it's important to remember that this fund has a much deeper track record and has been through many more market downturns, including the 2008 financial crisis. And to put those returns into perspective, a $10,000 investment in VYM 1 year ago today would be worth $11,089. and the same investment during the fund's inception in 2006 today would be worth $51,981. If you're thinking about fitting VYM into your portfolio, it's important to consider that it's giving you a lot of exposure to large cap value stocks. This means that it will pair very well with either a small cap ETF or a growth ETF. And I would love to hear in the comments, if you've made it this far in the video, which one would you like to see next? Would you like to see the best small cap ETFs or the best growth ETFs? In the meantime, if you like VYM, I strongly encourage you to compare it with the best value ETFs, which I just covered in this video.